Hello ladies and gentlemen, I don't feel like I read enough books in a month to warrant a monthly wrap-up video. I also really enjoy doing the individual book talks, so you may have noticed a lack of monthly wrap-up videos here on this channel. But this year I thought I would try something a little different and do a quarterly wrap-up to keep you updated on my reading goals progress. Also, this will be handy for those of you who prefer wrap-up videos to individual book talks. So if you like this format, please let me know in the comments below, and you should see another one of these at the end of June. So I will briefly share my thoughts for each of the books that I've read so far this year, but if you'd like to know more of my thoughts on these books, I'll leave links to the book talks down in the description for your convenience. So now onto the books that I've read in January, February, and March of 2014. The first book that I read in 2014 was The Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. This is a beautifully written book set in the gorgeous city of Barcelona, Spain. It is a book fueled by the love of books, and it was just absolutely gorgeous. It had mystery, intrigue, and a little bit of romance, and I gave it 5 stars out of 5 on Goodreads. The next book I read in 2014 was Ask the Passengers by A.S. King. It is a young adult novel based around a character who likes to send her love up to the airplanes that fly over her backyard. It is a coming-of-age story dealing with LGBT issues with a dash of magical realism. Absolutely unique writing, and I look forward to reading more by A.S. King. And I gave this book 4 stars out of 5 on Goodreads. The next book I finished in 2014 was Emma by Jane Austen. This book took me a couple of months to read. As I'm seeing is the case with Jane Austen's work, it was a little bit dry, but I absolutely adored the main character, and I found that I liked it more than I expected, and it gave me a great excuse to watch Clueless. So I gave it 4 stars out of 5 on Goodreads. And the next book that I read in 2014 was The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. This is a super approachable fantasy novel with excellent storytelling elements. It tells the story of a main character who, seemingly normal innkeeper, but a chronicler stumbles across his path and recognizes him as a quite famous man and asks if he can tell his story. We read his story, and that is the first day of the storytelling in The Name of the Wind, and I absolutely adored it, and I cannot wait to see where this series goes, and I gave it 5 stars out of 5 on Goodreads. The next book I finished was Anne of Green Gables by Ellen Montgomery. It's a coming-of-age story with a strong female protagonist that I highly recommend to anyone, especially if you're looking for a feel-good book in between other, maybe heavier reads, and I gave it 5 stars out of 5 on Goodreads. The next book that I read in 2014 was Burial Rites by Hannah Kent. This was a historical fiction novel loosely based on the final account of capital punishment in Iceland in the early 1800s. There was something magical and captivating about the writing in this novel, and I absolutely adored it. I gave it 5 stars out of 5 on Goodreads. The next book I read was The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. This novel centered around a young African-American girl who desired to be beautiful. Some terrible things happened to her along the way. It's a very painful and heavy book to read, but it was totally worth it, and I look forward to reading more Toni Morrison in the future. And I gave it 4 stars out of 5 on Goodreads. The next book I read was actually a series. I read Saga Volume 1 and 2, and later 3, so I'm going to group all of those together. They are written by Brian K. Vaughan with art by Fiona Staples. At this time, I had gotten into a reading slump, and a lot of you recommended that I try reading graphic novels, which I've read in the past, but it sounded like a great idea to get me out of the slump, and this series totally did that. It is a epic fantasy space opera about a couple who come from warring races, who fall in love and have a baby, but so many people are out to get them, so you get the perspective of this couple and all of the people who are out to kill them. It's action-packed and fun. The story is told from the child in the future. It's so good, and I completely devoured these books, and I gave all 3 volumes 5 stars out of 5 on Goodreads. So I got on a bit of a graphic novel kick, and the next graphic novel that I read was Hark a Vagrant by Kate Beaton. It is this brilliant, silly collection of comics based on pop culture, historical events, and literature. It was fun and educational, so I gave it 4 stars out of 5 on Goodreads. Then I read Jane the Fox and Me by Fanny Brett with art by Isabella Arenal, probably butchering that, but it was this beautiful little graphic novel about a girl dealing with bullying, and she copes with her bullying by reading Jane Eyre for the first time, a lovely little encounter with a fox. The art in this was absolutely gorgeous, and I gave it 5 stars out of 5 on Goodreads. The next book I finished in 2014 was Cress by Marissa Meyer, the 3rd installment in the Lunar Chronicles. The first 2/3 of the book was a little slow, but it really picked up towards the end, and I'm really excited for the final installment of the Lunar Chronicles after reading this book. And I gave it 4 stars out of 5 on Goodreads. And the last book that I read in March was Winger by Andrew Smith. This is a story of a 14-year-old boy named Ryan Dean West who goes to a boarding school for rich kids. He's very smart. He's only 14 years old, but he is a junior in high school. He has kind of been grouped together with the troublemakers of the school, and we follow him in his junior year of high school. I loved the voice of this novel, and the writing was very fun to read, but overall there was something a little disappointing about the book, so I only ended up giving it 3 stars out of 5 on Goodreads. So now let's talk numbers. I have currently read 15 out of 30 books, and according to Goodreads, I am 8 books ahead of schedule. And of the books I've completed, I have read 5,059 pages so far this year. My other goals were to read 10 books over 500 pages, 10 classics, and 10 books that I physically own. So far, I have read 3 books over 500 pages. They were The Shadow of the Wind, Cress, and The Name of the Wind. I have also read 3 books that I have deemed as classics. That is Emma, Anne of Green Gables, and The Bluest Eye. And thus far, I have read 7 books that I physically own, which I will show here. And I wanted to do 12 buddy reads in 2014, and I have done 5 of those so far, which I will show here. I also made a list of 14 books that I would like to read in 2014, and I have read 4 of those books thus far, and I also replaced I Am Number 4 by Pittacus Lore with American Gods by Neil Gaiman. So according to my Goodreads, I currently have 65 unread physical books and 31 unread ebooks. And thus concludes my first quarterly wrap-up of 2014. Don't forget to tell me in the comments if you enjoyed this format, and thank you all so much for watching, and let me know your thoughts on any of the books that I've mentioned today. I hope to see you soon with a brand new video. Bye!